YouTube already has some great proofs that if you multiply two negatives, you get a positive, but I wanted to see if I could come up with my own, just as a little mental workout or a treadmill for the brain. The rules of the game, or the rules of the proof, are I cannot multiply or divide by any negatives because I haven't yet proven what happens when you do that. And if I use a proof to prove itself, then that's circular reasoning or begging the question and doesn't really prove anything. For example, I can't take -1 times 2 equals -2. I simply divide both sides by -1 to eliminate that -1. Then I get 2 equals -2 over -1. Thus, negative divided by negative equals positive. And when you divide, that's the same thing as multiplying by a reciprocal. This doesn't work because I divided by -1 here, and I haven't yet shown what happens when you divide a negative by a negative. So take your number line between -1 and 1. 1 minus -1 equals 2 because you have to go 2 to the left. When you have a positive minus a negative, you get a positive. So we subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. We get 0 minus -1 equals 1. I'll come back to that, but for now, let's have two companies, company A and B. You owe $1 to each company, so that's -1 times 2 equals -2. This shows that a negative times a positive equals a negative. It also shows if you have a negative number, you can pull a -1 out of it and make that number positive. So 2 times -1 could become x times -1 equals -x, and vice versa, you can reverse it. So let's just make x equal -1 and bring down our negative. So this is x, and this -1, this whole -1 is also x. And then the minus sign just gets brought down. Now the same way we brought x over here, this x comes over to here and is positive, we'll bring -1 over here and it'll be a positive -1. And the same way that we brought this negative on the negative x over here and turned it into a -1, we can turn this negative into a -1. So this minus -1 or -1 actually has three manifestations. It's like a chameleon. So this -1 could appear as -1, or it could appear as -1 times -1. But we also have up here that -1 also equals 1. So we have 1 right here. So now we just bring down our -1s. -1 times -1 equals 1. Thus we have a negative times a negative has to equal a positive. And because this is a true statement, we can do whatever we want to one side of the equation as long as we do the same to the other side of the equation. Let's multiply both sides by xy. The x gets its own -1, the y gets its own -1, so we end up with -x times -y equals xy. This means if you multiply together any two negative numbers, you can just drop the negative and multiply them together as if they were positive.